financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Hi, welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is business dilemmas. Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. A pleasure to be here.
We are back in the office testing our social distancing capabilities and vaccines. Jeffrey Linden, how are you?
Good morning, Ken. Feeling well.
Pat Samasco.
Good morning.
Back in the saddle.
Today's the day.
All right.
Glad to see everybody in person.
All right, absolutely. So here's the thought process on the topic for today. We're emerging from COVID. Business issues, personal issues, everything's on the horizon. I want to focus on some of the business issues. Now, before we get to kind of the bad issues, I want to just emphasize something that I think a lot of people are missing, employers. It's the ERC, the Employee Retention Credit, that came after the Con App of 2021, which was the January bill that got passed for COVID relief. This Employee Retention Credit allows employers to claim a credit going back to 2020 for up to $5,000 per employee against their payroll tax liability, but if you don't have the liability, you get the money. And in 2021, $7,000 per employee per quarter. And it should be available for the first quarter and second quarter of 2021. Now, you have to qualify, and there are complications to it, but as a general test, if you have a 20% decline in revenue from any one quarter of last year to this year, that qualifies you. Or not and, if you were subject to a suspension order and it had an adverse impact on your business, which in Michigan is virtually every business. If you can articulate, even if you didn't have a reduction in gross revenues, if you can articulate a segment of your business that was adversely impacted, most of the authorities say you're eligible for the retention credit.
You know, I see it on here. Who's supposed to know that? Who's supposed to, like, I don't know any of that stuff.
Remember the PPP loan came out, the media covered it really well, and everyone knew about the PPP loan. The employee retention credit, most accountants know about it, and it's out there, but it's not getting media coverage, so people are missing it. And that's why I wanted to bring it to attention. If you're a business owner and you have not heard of the employee retention credit, you need to pick up the phone, call your accountant, and say, hey, do I qualify for the employee retention credit? And if the accountant doesn't know about it, you need to call a different accountant or a different lawyer, because it's big bucks. It's as big a bucks as the PPP loan. And it's
Actually, it could even be bigger. I mean, it's $7,000 in the first quarter per employee. It's $7,000 per employee in the second quarter, most likely for 2020.
Yeah, you got 10 employees.
Or
it's
2021.
$140,000 in the first 6 months of the year. It's a credit. It's cash, and so I just wanted to alert people to know you should take advantage of it if you can, and if you haven't heard about it, it's not too late. You need to act on it.
Look what I'm doing. I'm going to take a picture of this and send it to my brother, who's my accountant. That's what the importance of watching the show, Ken.
There you go.
I'm glad I drove over, Ken.
There you go.
All right,
okay.
Sweet.
I was actually surprised. Well, just to give you a little background, the employee retention credit existed in the last year, but last year they said if you got the PPP loan, you could not take the employee retention credit. So nobody took the employee retention credit because most people took the PPP loan. In January, they said, even if you took the PPP loan last year, and if you have not used up all your wages to qualify for the PPP loan, any wages that are remaining can qualify for last year's employee retention credit, and you get one for 2021. So it's a big act, and it's a big benefit.
Yeah, and if everybody's like saying, I want my stimulus check, well, this is like a stimulus check on steroids. It really is for the employers. And it's what's keeping people, allowing employers to keep employees on staff instead of laying people off. It's a big credit and a big bonus if you're sitting out there saying, well, I'm thinking about laying off my staff again. Well, this might just get you through to the hump, over the hump.
Yeah.
As I was driving in, I was listening on the radio, and there was someone talking about the restaurant industry and what the post-COVID impact's going to be. They're saying in the restaurant industry, the relief has helped. A lot of the small businesses will never recover and had to close, and they won't reopen, which they're saying is in some respects good for the restaurant industry because it was overbuilt. But for those that have survived, they've survived because of the relief, and the second round of PPP loans loosened the restraints, so it's not just for wages, and they paid down debt. So the restaurant industry this person says, we're poised to do well once we get beyond the pandemic.
My input from the different restaurants and businesses that they can't find employees that want to come back to work.
That was the other thing I heard on the radio.
They can't. They make more money.
Unemployment is the biggest impediment to hiring people right now.
Yep.
They're
not opening back up.
It makes sense. They're making money and they're safe because they don't have to expose themselves.
They're making more money.
So
they're
making more money.
I mean, if you're talking about getting $300 a week in supplemental unemployment, pandemic unemployment compensation, plus unemployment compensation from the state that you otherwise wouldn't have necessarily been qualified for, and you're bringing home $500, $600, $700 a week, and that was what you were making going to work and working your shift till 2 a.m., people are not going to work.
I mean, the relief has been good and it was necessary, but it could have been pointed, and they could have done a lot more with a learning curve over the course of a year and a half. I understand the first wave, you had to get money out there because it was a panic situation. Second wave, I think there should have been a little bit more restraints and pinpointing the money, because there are pockets of people that are desperate, and they certainly need the relief. But there's also relief going to people that are not desperate. And then, from a business lawyer standpoint, if you're the business that's entitled to the relief, even if you're not desperate, I still say take the relief, because this is the world we live in. You got to fend for yourself and take advantage of every opportunity you get, because you're going to face enough impediments along the way that it evens up in the long run. But that's one of the tough aspects. But the employee retention credit, that's the takeaway of this segment. If you're a business owner and you haven't heard of it, you need to investigate it, because it could be serious dollars in your favor, and you want to take advantage of it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about banks. COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We are here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We will create a plan and get through this together. THAV GROSS will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if Mom needs to go in a nursing home? At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. Okay, back to business dilemmas. All right, the banks and the IRS have been quiet during COVID for the most part, but they've resurfaced.
Yeah, really, the IRS is still processing 2019's tax returns. They haven't even gotten to 2020 yet.
Yeah, but the computers are up and they're sending the letters.
There's a but there. Yeah, they're slow in processing. But what are you seeing on the collection side?
Oh, here's how it happens. They'll wait to get a hold of you till they're good and ready or they can process it. But when they do, they're not giving you time to respond. They're pushing their deadlines. They're coming. They're sending their letters. You know. They're saying, "Well, we're busy. It's going to take us time. Now that we've got you, pay up. You got 2 weeks."
You know what's funny? I want to say something. No matter like when you get engaged, no matter what, that wedding date comes. It could be 3 years out for. The IRS, they're going to get you. That date will come whenever.
Wait. Let me just see. Let's just help our TV audience here. You're equating getting engaged and getting married to the IRS coming after you.
Yes.
Okay, all you prospective new couples, good luck.
So that's a positive experience in your life, this whole marriage situation.
Yes, and guess what I said another one the other day? I said, you can't be a little bit pregnant, just like you can't be a little bit probate. You're either in probate or not.
There you go.
Wisdom of Pat Samasco.
Right. Here's what I'm seeing.
Let's talk about
Be a book. Banks
be a real
first,
short
and
book.
then I want to switch over to Jeff on IRS. I'm seeing cases coming in, and what it is the banks during the middle of COVID kind of rode the wave and were not that quick to pull the plug on the client and say your loan's due. They kind of been quiet. It's the calm before the storm. I'm already seeing the cases where the banks are now saying, hey, these are business loans. You've been in default for 7 months. They're sending out the acceleration letter, and then at that point they're filing suit. And you're going to have to deal with it. And we're going to see a lot of that come out as things recover. Now the courts are also moving along. They're at a sluggish pace because court hearings are in the Zoom mode almost virtually everywhere in Michigan. Although Jeff and I just dealt with an Ohio case on an eviction. Ohio's,
I tell you,
there's no COVID. There's no COVID in Ohio.
Right.
It's so efficient though on Zoom, and I tell you, the jury trials are backed up, but the Zoom ones
it's the jury
trials.
They're just going crazy.
We just did a Supreme Court hearing on Zoom. I mean, so even they're doing it.
So your strategy, let's talk about strategy if you're dealing with a bank. Your strategy first is always, the magic word is negotiate. Never stop trying to negotiate. You get the demand letter where they're accelerating the balance. You should, engage an attorney, because you're not going to be able to handle the negotiations yourself competently unless this is something that you've been doing for a living.
Well, you would have done it already at that point.
And you need to reach out to the bank right away before they file suit and try and negotiate yourself into. Banks will usually enter into a forbearance agreement. What is the typical forbearance agreement? They'll allow you to pay interest on the loan. They'll try and get you to pay more than that, and they'll give you a short lifeline, basically saying to you, go find another lender. And they're going to want a short lifeline, sometimes as short as 3 months, sometimes 6 months. You go in there and you start asking for a year and a half, and then you get what you can get, because you can only push the bank so far. The problem with the forbearance agreement is the forbearance agreement makes you, in the document, waive all defenses. You have to basically say, dear bank, I acknowledge you are the greatest bank in the history of the universe. You have treated me fairly and as nice as you could be. I have no complaints against you whatsoever. I love you, and thank you so much for giving me 3 more months to live before you chop my head off and kill me. That's what your forbearance agreement says. It's a hard call whether you want to sign that. You're going to have to really look at it, because right now when we get in court, and there is no, even if we, the cases I have in court, my clients have already signed the forbearance agreement. What defenses am I raising?
What,
COVID.
Yeah, but what defense?
I'm raising impossibility of performance.
What was the defense that you had before it, though?
None.
Yeah, so what's the reason?
I'm raising COVID, impossibility of performance, and bad faith. Now, are these good defenses?
No.
We will see.
Okay. Before the pandemic,
no.
Before the pandemic, no chance at all. But now you raise them. If you get the judge's ear, and the judge says, well, I don't know, we've never had a pandemic before. Right. It seems like the bank's being a little aggressive. Maybe this is a fact issue. Maybe I need to take it to a jury. Maybe we need to wait for a court of appeals decision. The point is, you raise these defenses so that you have some leverage to do what? To negotiate. You're not going to win the case, but you use it to negotiate.
And that's what the judge is doing at that point.
Now let's shift over to IRS for a little bit. So what do you see in there, Jeff, with IRS? Are you able to negotiate there? Here's the point that I wanted to make. Don't try and do this yourself.
Right.
Because, and I'll give you the classic example. You represent yourself with the IRS, and you're talking to the person on the phone, and they say, where do you bank? Oh, I don't know where I bank. What's your bank account number? I can't remember my bank account number. It's very hard to answer those questions. But if they ask Jeff that question, where does your client bank?
Well, you know, I don't have that information right now. I'll ask him and I'll get back to you.
Would you don't have that information? You don't even have the account number?
No, why would he give me his
I want
account
that
number?
right now.
Well, I'll give it to you right now. I don't have it.
Is that the IRS or a creditor?
IRS. Well, creditor, you say, creditor, you have a different response, and it starts with an F.
You know what? I got to say something. I told you my daughter's working for the IRS now, and she's telling me some of her cases. It's like I'm rooting for the IRS now, because I go, what is wrong with me? I'm on the taxpayer side always, so.
You gotta solve that problem.
I gotta
for
stop.
Yourself.
Your
daughter can work for IRS, but you have to be on the side of the taxpayer.
I know that.
Sounds like a crisis in personality.
It really is, yeah.
All right, let's take a break, and then we're going to have the segment 3, which is going to be the court moment.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sunday 7 o'clock a.m. We've got webinars coming up on May 5th this year at 6 o'clock p.m. You need an estate plan. Stop saying it and just do it. This is going to be an estate plan that covers the basics of what you need in order to put your estate plan in order. You have to realize there are two aspects to an estate plan. While you're living, you need the durable power of attorney and the healthcare power, and to cover your death, you need a revocable living trust that takes care of the disposition of your assets and also has adequate protections for your children and your spouse in case there's creditor issues. You don't want to miss this. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. It'll be a Zoom webinar. You can attend and watch it from home or on your cell phone. Remember, it's at 6 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, May 5th. And then anytime you can go to our website and watch our free webinar on financial issues. It is called How to Eliminate Your Debt and Get a Fresh Start and Live Debt-Free. Remember, to be free, you must be debt-free. We talk about all the methods we use to address debt. Solutions using bankruptcy, solutions outside of bankruptcy. There's a special segment for small businesses facing debt and foreclosure and closure issues. You want to learn your available options with regard to bankruptcy and outside of bankruptcy. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. You just fill out a form and we send the book to you after you've watched the webinar. Also, we have free consultations. You can come into the office now with social distancing and masks, or we can do a teleconference or a video conference from your home. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner, criminal law issues with Scott Weinberg. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. Also, go to the website. There's free reports. There's one on tax problems, how to save your home from foreclosure, forming businesses and loans and grants for businesses in Detroit, and Pat Simasko's Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show. COVID-19 presents a fight for our personal and business financial survival. You have to make choices. Cash is critical. Do you tap your retirement, home equity line, or run up the credit cards? You need the right plan to avoid being wiped out, and you need it now. You can't rely on the government or banks. Call us. We're the experts in financial crisis. We are here for you and your business in the Great Recession, and we're here for you now. We will create a plan and get through this together. THAV Gross will solve your problem. All right, we're back. Before we do the court moment with Judge Pat Simasko, I want to go back to business limits because Brian brought it up.
So yeah, here's the thing.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, when you're dealing with all of these negotiations on behalf of the business or dealing with the business, dealing with the IRS, one of the things that your small business now has a tool is the Small Business Chapter 11, Subchapter 5 of Chapter 11, which really levels the playing field and gives you either A, power to negotiate, or B, gives you time to reorganize.
So it's another negotiating tool also, but if you can't successfully negotiate, you go to Brian, you file the Small Business Chapter 11 in order to protect the client.
And stay in business.
Okay. All right, now, new little thing for the show. We're going to do a court moment. We're going to try and do these in segment 3, and the court moment in this case is an eviction case. And we're in district court, and we're going to role play. Over here, Judge Pat Simasko, adorning his robe.
In the beautiful black nightgown that he's wearing today.
I feel it fits.
Mr. Linden, you are representing the landlord. I will be representing the tenant. This is a commercial eviction. Mr. Linden's representing XYZ Properties, and I'm representing Cafe Bakery. And Brian will be the clerk of the court.
All right. Calling case number 235-679, XYZ Real Properties, LLC versus Cafe Bakery, LLC.
Judge.
Good morning, Judge.
Call your first witness.
Good morning, Judge. Ken Gross appearing on behalf of the defendant.
Good morning, Judge. Jeff Linden on behalf of XYZ, the landlord.
I want to just say one thing. I haven't been right in my house with a wife and 2 daughters in the last 25 years, I'm going to be right today.
All right.
That's the power of being the judge.
see about
You're
that.
always right until the
No
Court of
matter
Appeals
what,
says
man,
you're
no
wrong.
matter what.
Yeah. Well, good morning, Judge. We have this is an eviction case. My client has a signed lease by this tenant. They have not paid rent in more than 6 months. We're owed over $24,000 plus attorney's fees and costs at this point, and we just can't tolerate it any longer. We're entitled to possession.
Your Honor, may I?
Sure.
All right. Apparently, Mr. Linden and Mr. Linden's client is not aware of the fact that we've had a COVID pandemic in the nation and the world for the last year and a half that's had a dramatic impact on the restaurant industry.
Have you gotten the PP loans and all those things?
Yes, we did, Your Honor. But the problem is the PPP loan, if you recall, came at a point where we got the money and had to fund it to use for payroll before the shutdown order was even lessened at all, so we still couldn't have any business. All the PPP loan did was it gave our employees some money for payroll. It didn't allow us to stay in business. It didn't bring in any customers, and it didn't allow us to pay rent.
Have you been paying any rent at all?
We have not been able to.
Well, how's he pay his mortgage?
We've been in communication with him on a constant
How's he pay his mortgage?
He pays his mortgage in the same way that I pay him. He goes back to his lender and says, "Are you aware of the fact that there's a pandemic and that you have to work with us?" And the lenders, we don't know that his lender's not working with him. I submit if he still has the property, his lender is working with him.
Does it matter,
But he's
though?
trying to evict us.
Well, yeah,
our
it's
defenses are
separate,
force
different,
majeure. And
What does that mean, though? I haven't had law school in a long time.
Force majeure is actually a clause in a contract where if it says there's a pandemic or an act of God or an unanticipated event, it excuses and delays performance. Now, typically, that provision has to be in the lease and has to cover the event.
Is it?
Our lease has a force. Yes, it does. There is a force majeure clause.
There's no force majeure clause in this lease.
But if there was, it doesn't mention pandemic.
Well, how long should he go?
He has to act in good faith and try and work it out with us. As long as he's still in possession of the property and he hasn't lost it to his lender,
Wait, why are you
he should
being so
continue to work with
aggressive?
us.
What has he done wrong other than allow you to stay in this building?
Your Honor, we have children to support and families and
Doesn't
employees to
he?
support. He does, but
Doesn't the bank above him?
he's still in possession of the property. Your Honor, we need a ruling. We're requesting a jury trial. We want discovery on this matter, and we want to go through the full court process.
Well, what
will you allow
your
us
offer
discovery?
of proof? What would that allow you to do? And why
It'll
spend
allow
the money?
time.
But so why not take the money that you're going to spend on the lawyer fees and use that to pay rent?
Because the lawyer's not charging $24,000 in back rent, Your Honor.
Yeah, but what the
We
bank
need
is
time.
not.
Your Honor, we need you to rule. Will you grant us discovery? There you have it. Pat Simasco thought that he would get it right as a judge, but apparently he's kept his record consistent with his home life. He's wrong then, and he's wrong now. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality. Thanks for tuning in.